Today, we're going over another collection of unsettling internet oddities that have been on my mind recently. But before we get into them, a quick word from today's sponsor, Raycon. Well guys, it's that time of year when romance is in the air. And if there's one love language that we all share, it's the love of high-quality sound. So this Valentine's, meet your perfect match, Raycon's Everyday Earbuds. Now, you've heard me explain why the Everyday Earbuds are my go-to for everything. Whether I'm hitting the gym, taking work calls, or just vibing to my favorite rock playlist. But the new and improved model is even better, with an impressive 30-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity, so I can seamlessly switch between my laptop and phone. And when I'm editing videos, I do that a lot. I've also been loving these sleek, protective case covers. I picked this design because it complements my earbuds color, and it's a fun way to show off my personal style. This case supports wireless charging, so I never have to take it off. And with Raycon's upgraded Everyday Earbuds, just 10 minutes of charging yields 90 minutes of battery life. So if you're ready to experience premium sound quality without the premium price tag, Raycon Earbuds are the perfect choice and start at just half the cost of other top brands. Go to buy Raycon. Come Masquerade to get up to 20% off site-wide. That's right, you'll get up to 20% off everything on Raycon's website, including 20% off all headphones too, when you go to buy Raycon. Come Masquerade. This strange and unsettling rabbit hole was first uncovered by Reddit user Tony Frogmouth, who wrote up their findings on the Unsolved Mysteries subreddit. On July 14th, 2017, 18-year-old Jesse Giovanni Namaji P.U.L. disappeared from Denison, Iowa. But what makes his case particularly eerie is the lack of information available. No major headlines, no investigative reports, just the bare bones of an unresolved case that remains largely in the shadows. All we know is what the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System tells us about him, that he has black hair and brown eyes, that he's 5'5", and weighed between 130 and 135 pounds at the time of his disappearance. But a deeper look into his case file on Namas reveals some truly unusual details. First and foremost, Jesse's case is classified as an involuntary disappearance. Typically, missing persons are categorized as endangered missing, which is a broad classification and covers various circumstances. But an involuntary disappearance, that term is typically reserved for cases where someone's been taken against their will and where foul play is heavily suspected. So why was Jesse's case given this rare designation? Did law enforcement have information that they never made public? Another anomaly is Jesse's long list of aliases. Browsing through various databases, his known names include Juan Carlos Sam, Namanjid Errol Jamal Brown, Ronaldo Alterayo Colon, and Daddy X Inimayok All, among others. The final anomaly, as you've probably gathered, is his missing person photo. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm 100% certain that that is not an 18-year-old. To my eyes, it appears to be someone significantly older, maybe even in their mid-30s, using makeup or filters to appear younger. It's such an odd photo considering the information released, and it's the only one used to depict him on official missing person databases. Strangely, Jesse did once have a page on the Iowa Missing Persons database, one which has since been removed without explanation. All of these details suggest that Jesse's story is far more complex than it appears at first glance. Here's where things take an even darker turn. Despite being officially listed as missing, Jesse's social media accounts remained active well after his disappearance. Sleuths have since found a LinkedIn page and a VIG, a profile, under his name featuring pictures of what appears to be the same man in inappropriate poses. But 3 other accounts in particular stand out. First, a now-defunct Twitter account created in 2018, a full year after Jesse supposedly vanished. The bio originally read, Soy un niño modelo, Bela, NY Contanti, Tengo 3 años. Translation, I'm a model boy, dancer, and singer. I am 13 years old. This alone is incredibly bizarre. Why would Jesse, an 18-year-old at the time of his disappearance, have an account claiming to be a 13-year-old child? The accompanying tweets only add to the strangeness. One post featured a picture of a young boy who was clearly not Jesse alongside the caption, my new picture. I'm handsome. Then there are also videos on this account featuring what appears to be an adult Jesse dancing in minimal clothing. The fact that this account was operating after Jesse's disappearance raises major red flags. Either he was never actually missing, or someone else was using his identity to fake his online presence in a very bizarre fashion. Alongside the Twitter page, 2 YouTube channels linked to Jesse were also discovered. Most of the content consists of low-quality music videos, but some are far more disturbing. Those videos are slideshows of young boys interspersed with images of a grown man. This video, for example, is titled The Little Guy from Central America, the reggaeton boy, and shows that same man role-playing as a child, dressed in shorts and a Minions t-shirt. Those images are intercut with photos of an unidentified young boy. There's something. This is all the work of a delusional fantasist who enjoys pretending to be a child and uses the photos of random boys to help create that illusion. There is a much darker possibility that these videos are coded advertisements, calling cards that let other predators know the channel owner has illicit content to trade, possibly featuring the unknown boys in the videos. Now, if you aren't convinced that this man is the same person as featured on Jesse's missing person profiles, then these images taken from videos on those same YouTube channels should convince you. These photos are clearly of the same individual, wearing the exact same t-shirt and necklace, standing in what appears to be the exact same location. And if that wasn't enough, browsing through the past activity of one of these accounts, the thumbnail for one of the liked videos stands out. It seems likely that Jesse is just another of this man's aliases. To cover the loss of his profiles in 2021, comments left on the Iowa cold case website mentioned that to SoundCloud accounts under the names Adixen Giovanni Namaji Pul and Junior Giovanni Paul were both still active and allegedly contained CP. Their bios read, "I'm a child. My parents don't support me and I sing and dance." If this case wasn't already unsettling enough, here's where things get even more disturbing. In 2018, just 1 year after Jesse's disappearance, a 38-year-old man named Pedro Namayapol was arrested in San Antonio, Texas, on the charge of uploading CP material to Instagram. Looking at Pedro's mugshot, it's nearly identical to Jesse's missing person photo. The facial structure, the cheekbone shadows, the eyebrows, everything matches. Some speculate that Pedro may be Jesse's father or other relative. But personally, I think this man is Jesse, and that Pedro was yet another alias. Adding to the mystery, a Reddit user discovered that one of Jesse's other fake identities, Daryl Jamal Brown, was the name of a real person, a man who had died at 24 years old in Texas in 2016. That suggests that Jesse may have been using the stolen identities of deceased individuals to obscure his true background. How he came to get his hands on their IDs, though, remains unknown. If Jesse and Pedro are indeed the same person, which I'm sure they are, it's clear that his 2018 arrest didn't put an end to his activities. After all, he continued posting online under various accounts for years afterwards. There is evidence that suggests he fled back to Central America, likely El Salvador, to escape legal consequences in the US. Given that his known accounts went silent after 2021, it's possible he was eventually caught and imprisoned, or was otherwise silenced by the family of one of his victims. But for all we know, he simply learned to be more secretive when it came to advertising his twisted hobby with the world. The case of Jesse Giovanni Namaji Pul, or whatever his real name is one of the most perplexing missing person cases in recent history. The bizarre classification of his disappearance, his extensive use of fake identities, and his continued presence online long after he was declared missing all point to a much larger story than what's publicly known. As of today, the authorities still have him listed as an involuntary missing 18-year-old on official databases. Question is, why was Jesse ever a missing person? Or was he deliberately trying to disappear? And if he was eventually imprisoned, why is there no public record of that? Most importantly, is he still out there, hiding behind yet another identity, while continuing to upload sick material to the internet? I sincerely hope that this mystery gets resolved. In January 2017, a series of posts began appearing on various 4chan boards, such as on 9K and subreddits like Malapedative Dreaming, all created by an enigmatic user who went by the name Suki. Supposedly a 16-year-old male from the Netherlands, Suki explained how he had a second world in his head and detailed how the universe actually consists of numerous coded dimensions which all exist within an omniverse called system space. Moreover, he relayed how humanity exists within a system called life, which is due to go offline, and that those who don't take steps to protect their souls are essentially doomed to go down with it. As the human representative of the conglomerate that was set to destroy the life system, he alone had been created to teach internet users how they could go about saving themselves. He called this the Suki Project, though it was unclear whether this was just an elaborate thought experiment or something Suki honestly believed. Other users began showering his posts with attention, prompting the young prophet to set up a website dedicated to his project, System Space. Link. It's since been shut down, but entering the URL into the Wayback Machine, we can see exactly how it used to look. The main page is genuinely quite impressive and the site itself very well coded. From the art, it's clear that Suki was heavily inspired not just by the concepts, but also by the aesthetics of Serial Experiments Lane, an anime which features a virtual realm called The Wired which humans can enter by uploading their minds and abandoning their physical selves. Perhaps the thing that jumps out most, though, is this section which states the number of registrants above an ominous timer, one that was chronicling the days left until July 1st, 2017. Scrolling down a little further, we can read Suki's mission statement where he outlined exactly what was set to happen on that date. You are currently in one of many systems. Your system is called life, but there are many more in existence. This construct, called system space, runs on a type of energy called aurora. There is only a limited amount of our aura available to system space. Because of this, we must manage how the systems use aurora and ensure it's being used correctly. If the aurora is used incorrectly, then we reset the system. Unfortunately, the life system seems unable to improve regardless of the number of resets it undergoes. Due to the openness of system space, we are forced to edit system space in order to correct our path. As a result of this process, life will be unlinked and purged. Immediately following this, activity within life will continue as normal. However, new bodies will no longer have souls, and the souls of bodies that die without having registered will soul shatter. Souls that have registered will be moved after death to the LFE system. After 150 years of separation, life will be completely purged. To register, users had to submit a handwritten code and a drawing, which Suki would then use to link their souls to the new system. He claimed that by registering, users referred to as migrants would transition from the current system, life, to the new system, LFE, upon their death. Anyone who did register before the July 1st deadline and later died from old age or other causes would ascend to the new LFE utopia. Their consciousness would be implanted into a new body and they'd be able to continue living in a larger and more advanced reality, a place where, and I quote, everyone matters. Those who failed to register or died before the unlinked date would not be able to migrate and would instead have their souls shatter upon death. Within months, thousands had signed up, mostly fans of Lane and digital escapism, though no doubt a few were just lonely people seeking a community and somewhere to belong. Led by Suki, this new community forged an extensive compendium that detailed all the lore of system space. Reading through it, the adoption of Lane as the project mascot was an ironic choice. The anime, which I highly recommend, warned viewers of the risks of being chronically online, and now its main character was being used as the symbol of a group dedicated to detaching from reality. The Suki project gained widespread attention after being featured in various YouTube videos and discussed on multiple platforms. Inevitably, theories began to spread regarding its purpose. On the surface, the whole project was nothing more than a harmless ARG. The more cynical thought, it was a marketing stunt for a new game or TV series, with the timer counting down to its release. Some called it a scam, seeing how Suki happily accepted Bitcoin donations to buy storage space, and the LFE made several $1,000s doing so. But the darkest theory that started circulating was that this was a death cult, that Suki was encouraging his followers to end their playthrough after the countdown expired in order to respawn in the LFE system sooner, rather than waiting for their bodies in this system to wither and give out naturally. After all, why take the risk when, according to Suki himself, developing dementia or brain damage would result in your memories not transferring to the LFE system with you? Indeed, some members on the site's forum began discussing their desire to self-disconnect after the unlinked date, July 1st. Suki's defenders highlighted a disclaimer that he added to the website's main page, in which he reminded registrants that they didn't have to transfer immediately and urged them to live out their natural lives. But his critics accused him of preying on the mentally vulnerable, intentionally recruiting new members from subreddits like Maladaptive Dreaming, whose users are self-professed excessive fantasists, and sucking said individuals into his own daydream reality. And though on the one hand he was telling them to stay alive and collect knowledge for their next life, on the other he'd leave messages like, "I don't want to force you to keep going through life. And if you really wish to die, we won't stop you. If you choose to, let me know beforehand so I can open the ports early." He also told anyone that was planning on transferring early to erase their hard drives and destroy anything that linked their deaths to the project. July 1st, 2017, the unlinked date, well, it came and went without much fanfare. It seemed as if the users who had expressed a desire to transfer to FEISAP were simply making dark jokes or LARPing. Some members allegedly passed away following the transfer date, sure, but there was nothing in the way of evidence tying their deaths to system space. But that would soon change. On July 13th, 17-year-old Jake Fair went missing from his home in West Kelowna, Canada. Not having social media accounts or a mobile phone, his family had no way to get in contact with him. When investigators arrived to examine his room for evidence, they discovered that Jake had both erased his computer hard drive and left a handwritten note on his bedroom table, one with 3 letters written on it, and a few letters written on it. 1 month later, on August 12th, Canadian authorities discovered Jake's body in a wooded area near McDougall Creek. Foul play was ruled out. If the note didn't give it away, it's since been confirmed that Jake was an active member of the Suki project. His own mother would later share a video that talked about system space and how it related to her son's death. The degree to which the Suki project influenced Jake's decision to do what he did is, of course, unknown. Was it the main factor? Probably not. But did it encourage him to go through with a pre-existing plan? Quite possibly. I think, at best, Suki created an ARG with some very irresponsible wording and things got out of hand. Whether you think he should be held responsible for what happened to Jake or not, he never publicly acknowledged that his project could have pushed his most vulnerable members over the edge. Some of you may remember a 2019 video uploaded by Scare Theater in which he discussed the Suki project. Unfortunately, Suki and all his followers went so far as to threaten Scare Theater into taking that video down. In a later upload, Scare Theater was able to uncover what he believes to be Suki's real identity using publicly available information. In response, Suki contacted the Fair family and attempted to manipulate them into having the video removed, going so far as to call his sister. Beyond this, Suki has a history of douching and threatening people, and I wouldn't be surprised if he uses those tactics to silence those who allege any connection between himself, the project, and any deaths that may be linked to it. A CBC show featuring Jake Fair's sister has also mysteriously been wiped from the internet, fueling speculation about whether Suki was involved in its removal. Still, his repeated attempts to cover his tracks seem to have had the Streisand effect. The archives of it still exist. The System Space website is no more. A whole drama unfolded on the project's Discord server when it became clear the concept had been plagiarized from the visual novel rewritten that Suki was scamming and douching his users, and as a result, the site imploded. But if you visit System Space net today, you'll find this cryptic video. Could this be a hint at the project's revival? Only time will tell. Certain images have the uncanny power to linger in our minds for weeks, months, even decades, especially when seen at the right moment in the right context. For some, it's a scene from a horror movie that they saw far too young. For others, it's a moment from a video game, a clip from a shock site, or a disturbing real-life photo. But for a lot of Japanese internet users in the mid-2000s, it was this. Let me explain. Recently, rumors have begun to surface of a surreal Japanese website said to have been popular about 20 years ago, one that supposedly cursed its visitors. The website was said to consist mostly of a white screen with ominous text, and at its core, an optic hazard, an image so haunting that once seen could leave viewers psychologically damaged. As one anonymous poster asked on Yahoo Answers, did this site really exist? I'm talking about that cursed website that's been discussed recently and has become something of an urban legend. According to what I heard, it contains a picture of a Torii gate. If you see that image and don't find and visit that same Torii gate in real life, a terrible misfortune will befall you. According to rumors, the website in question first gained notoriety in the shadowy corners of the internet, spreading across Wakkanel in the form of a chain letter. Users would be lured in by what seemed like an innocent, feel-good story, only to find themselves clicking on a link that led to a disturbing site. But these days, you don't need to bait and switch people into visiting cursed media. Modern-day internet sleuths will seek things like that out themselves. The problem, none of them knew where to look. According to the urban legend, the site's URL periodically changes, as if the admin is trying to hide it from prying eyes. What makes that unsettling is that the site's creator is rumored to have already died. Still, thanks to the wonders of the Wayback Machine, all we need to do is get our hands on one of those URLs. Searching through the old Japanese for Market BBS, fellow YouTuber era, Devlin and Adam New discovered a bulletin board where users were discussing the horror game Siren, a cult classic from the PlayStation 2 era. But noticeably, one conversation branched off to talk about a different subject. On August 2nd, 2005, a user named Asuka made a thread titled, "I have a headache," and dropped what's believed to be the first known reference to our elusive site. This site makes no sense. I don't know what the intention was, but it makes me feel uneasy when I look at it. It may be okay for people who don't mind Siren. It might be a virus. But could someone please tell me what kind of site this is? Nice day, fine day. Oh. Responses flooded in almost immediately. It's so disgusting. I feel like I'm going crazy, even if you're okay with Siren. This site is not good for you. If you enter, you may regret it for the rest of your life. Well, it's a top-of-the-line creepy site. But what's its purpose? I'll look into it more thoroughly. I need mental strength. Yeah, and I feel like I'm cursed. From what I've seen so far, it's one of the most dangerous sites. I remember. Apparently, the administrator of that site was bullied in the past, so he started cursing people and making it public in that way. By the way, the people whose names are written and read in the Mabo page have already passed away. I don't know how true or false that is, but I think that's what happens. That's crazy. The same name as me was on that list. I feel really bad. It's too much. The conversation continued with most users focusing on the so-called Mabo page hosted on the site. In this case, it was said to contain the names of those who had been cursed. Other responders mentioned that they had found a website with a similar URL which contained photos of real dead bodies and speculated whether they may be related to the Mabo list. So headaches, a death note, instant regret. With so many descriptive warnings, only an idiot would consider peeking behind this curtain. Browsing through the archive pages of Nice Day Fine Day, or you'll quickly get the sense that you're inside a virtual haunted house. On the homepage, you're greeted by a low-resolution photo of a bloated human face submerged in water. Scrolling text ominously states, behind you. You saw it, right? All the various page options are listed as die, kill, curse, cry, shout, struggle, haunt, go insane, and rise. If you drag your cursor over this section between the head and the links, this hidden text reveals itself. The bottom of the page contains a long list of every disturbing word you can think of: madness, murder weapon, stabbing, bludgeoning, burning, drowning, roadkill, phlegm, cirrhosis of the liver, seppuku, omen, scouring, mania. It goes on and on. Above that are several hyperlinks. If you choose to explore further, you'll find plenty of disturbing nuggets to sink your teeth into. A flashing page where the word die repeats itself over and over again. A section that contains an unplayable flash video. No one knows what it originally showed, but in a sense, that makes it creepier. The bind link is even more unsettling, leading to a warped photo of a human face. Clicking the image itself leads you to a cryptic wall of senseless text, but a different link on the page will fill your screen with this. Clicking the fabled Mabo list brings up the administrator's personal death note, a list of names in katakana, some written in white, most crossed out in red, indicating that those individuals have already passed away after being cursed by the website. Which brings us to our final Easter egg, hidden on the landing page behind the submerged figure. Year by year, a man's head rises little by little from the bottom of the river. Ironically, by clicking on it, you'll only be pulled under. This is where the Torii gates have been hiding. Beneath the image of the gates is text which states, "I'm cold. Curse, 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 curse. You too. You too. Indeed. Because now if you don't visit this exact location in the real world, your name will end up on the Meibo list." And with hundreds of thousands of Torii gates scattered throughout Japan, your prospects are looking pretty bleak right now. But thankfully, you don't need to be an expert geoculture to save yourself. To demystify this urban legend, these gates have since been identified and can be found in the Hone's Ono Jinja, a shrine in Shinwocha, Tokyo. The site's creator simply sorts this image from the web and posterized it. And in for a penny, in for a pound, the origin of the submerged head image has also been identified. It's a photo of a river ghost taken from the cover of Ichiro Jibo's horror document Psychic Photo Collection. And that head itself, it's probably just a duck swimming in front of a rock. As for Nice Day Fine Day's creator, reports of his death were greatly exaggerated. And in 2023, he responded to an article written by Omoki Subaru. According to him, the site contained a script that attempted to display the visitor's computer username on the Meibo page, creating the illusion that their name had been put on the death list. A fun gimmick which apparently hardly ever worked. He also said that back in its original state, the website had a lot more creepy details that have since been lost. The white background was formerly filled with the image of a Jizo statue. Some sections of the site had ominous music playing, and if you looked at the image of the Torii gates for too long, an onigiri would fly out and jump scare you. As for that rumor that the URL changed multiple times, well, that one was partially true. An earlier version of the website did exist in 2003 under a different URL. In the creator's words, "I originally made the site on Magic Island, but it seems to have been reported by someone undeleted. So I rented another server in the old site, Nice Day. Became Nice Day Fine Day." Rumors of it continuously changing URLs likely began after the domain expired. Unfortunately, Nice Day Fine Day is no more. But it's a great hidden gem from a simpler internet era that, thankfully, has been partially preserved. As I saw one comment put it, it's a cursed website that now exists as a ghost in the Wayback Machine. Originally, it was created to scare people who stumbled upon it, but as time passed, its use of Flash turned it into a time capsule of sorts, a relic of times gone by. And now, instead of being scary, it's almost a nostalgic reminder of the past, something its creator likely never anticipated. So now that you know it was all just a bit of fun, you can sleep safe in the knowledge that you don't need to book a flight to Japan to lift the curse. And given today's airfare prices, that might just be the greatest horror of all. On February 21st, 2022, Venezuelan-born taxi driver and father of 3, Leonardo Colli P., was driving his motorcycle taxi through the streets of Lima, Peru, searching for customers and ferrying them across the city. At approximately 6 p.m., he parked his vehicle on Calle Los Paris in Los Olivos to chat with a group of other taxi drivers. Some witnesses reported that a heated argument erupted between Leonardo and one of the other men. After some back and forth, Leonardo walked over to the pavement looking extremely distressed and sat down. The man he had been arguing with then approached Leonardo with his phone and began filming him. In the now infamous footage, a defeated Leonardo solemnly looks up at the man and says, "To dial El Patron, meaning you tell the boss." The cameraman then pulls out a 9mm Glock, replies El Patron, as if to say, "Oh, really?" Then fires 5 shots at Leonardo's head. The first 3 shots struck him in his left temple, causing his eye to dislodge completely. The 4th and 5th rounds hit his nose and cheek, turning his face completely red. As he collapses onto the sidewalk, the camera lingers on his face. A gurgling sound and a bystander shouting can be heard near the end of the video. Many of the onlookers approach Leonardo's body to take photos and videos of their own thereafter. As would come to light, the killer was a known extortionist and seeker Rio named Frank Lopez, otherwise known by his hitman alias motto per gusto, "Kill for pleasure." Leonardo owed him 60 souls in toll fees, around $16.50, and Frank decided to make an example out of him. Later that same day, Frank sent the video to other taxi drivers in the area as a warning, Pay your debts or this could happen to you. The horrifying video soon began circulating on shock sites under the titles El Patron and One Man, 5 Bullets. It saw widespread circulation in Spanish-speaking countries and became a popular clip among school kids, who shared it around as a sort of morbid Rick roll. Frank himself was arrested 1 month later and was eventually sentenced to 17 years and 4 months in prison. That light sentence may boil your blood a little, but even more infuriating is the fact that he shouldn't have been a free man at the time of the incident. Frank had previously been arrested in 2019 for slaying 2 other people and, on top of that, was linked to the murder of 8 others. But he had been released on a technicality due to a mistake made by the judge. If that hadn't happened then, Leonardo would still be alive today, and one of the worst snuff videos in existence, filmed from the killer's own POV, would never have been created. 9 months after the incident, in November 2022, roughly 187 people were sent an email simply titled "Hello." The main body read, "My name is Leonardo Alexander Curry Brito and this is what I look like on video." Attached was a file named California, for which couldn't be previewed and had to be downloaded to view. When opened, a deep fake video would play, one showing Leonardo's bloodied and distorted face, singing Katy Perry's California Girls. Anyone who replied to the email automatically received a response containing a screenshot from the video. Most recipients didn't see the funny side, and one was able to trace the Gmail account back to a man named Jacob Bubb. His IP address, email, and phone numbers were subsequently said. However, it was later revealed that Jacob hadn't created the deepfake and had instead been hired to send the emails on someone else's behalf. Another variation of the email, also titled "Hello," included the message, "My name is Leonardo. I exist," and featured a file named Leonardo. That video was a clip taken from the original El Patron footage and zoomed in on Leonardo's dead body. There was originally meant to be another entry that went there, but YouTube deemed it too extreme. So, if you'd like to watch the uncut version of this video, members can do so over on my Patreon. Buried in the darkest corners of YouTube is a channel that most people have never heard of. Allow me to introduce you to El Torres. The channel has no description, no bio, no real identity other than this eerie profile picture of an anonymous figure. Very fitting for the type of content that the owner uploads. Browsing through, you'll find 753 unsettling videos, many of them filmed from the same vantage point, a single apartment window overlooking a neighboring building. At first glance, the footage looks boring, quiet, ordinary, but keep watching and it starts to feel wrong. Every single video on this channel is voyeuristic in nature. The camera is typically fixated on the windows of the apartments across the street, or on the people on the pavement below, and it's not just one neighbor that the cameraman focuses on. He rotates between multiple residences, almost like he knows their schedules. That being said, he does seem to dedicate a worryingly large number of videos to filming a few of his neighbors in particular. He captures people in unguarded moments, doing their laundry, changing clothes, watching TV, dancing, fighting, crying, moments no one would ever knowingly let a stranger see. Other times he makes his recordings at beaches, parks, bus stops, or while out and about. Some videos last just a few seconds. Others go on for more than 20 minutes. There are no edits, no cuts, no added music or narration, just the eerie hum of city noise, distant conversations, and the unblinking gaze of Alejandro Torres' camera capturing the intimate moments of oblivious strangers, stealing their privacy for his own amusement. I thought for a long time about what clips to include in this segment because, although I want to bring attention to El Torres and show just how inappropriate his actions are, a lot of his videos contain content that's really up close and personal. Therefore, I'm not going to include any clear shots of people's faces within the privacy of their own homes, but I'm showing just enough that these people might recognize themselves. That way, if they stumble upon this video, they can at least know that their fellow resident is watching and filming them. What's truly disturbing isn't just the content though, it's the reaction. The channel has barely any views, and though a few of his videos have taken off, most barely scrape 100. But the few people who do keep up with his content occasionally leave cryptic or approving comments, like a small hidden community of watchers feeding off someone else's life. I've even come across other users asking El Torres if he's going live again at any point. indicating that he streams and possibly sells similar voyeuristic content on other platforms. Doing a deeper dive into his content, I found this video, the first posted to his channel, which seems to hint that some of his videos were made in Miami, Florida, though car license plates in other videos indicate that he spends a lot of his time in Chile. Perhaps this channel was just set up to chronicle the owner's time living in the US. But whether his intentions were pure or not, this kind of behavior is obviously unacceptable. Personally though, I'm convinced that Alejandro has creepier intentions. Whatever the case, 1 month ago, the channel suddenly went silent. No new videos, no updates, nothing. It was around that same time that this post surfaced on the R Mystery subreddit, left by user OKDick5478, found a weird YouTube channel that films people from a distance. Some of the videos are through people's windows, at beaches, bus stops, walking down the street, etc. There are literally hundreds of videos, some having hundreds of thousands of views. Couldn't find the channel mentioned elsewhere. Indeed, as far as I can tell, OKDick was the first person to draw attention to the Ale Torres channel, even though their rated post only received 1 reply and 7 upvotes. It's possible that this small amount of recognition caught Ale Torres off guard and made him worry about prying eyes. Ironic given how he shows no such concern for the privacy of those he films. If that is the case, he'll really hate being mentioned in this video. Then again, the guy behind the channel has shown his face in several videos that are still public. So if he is trying to protect his identity, he's not doing a great job. I swear while researching this video, I found uploads of him appearing alongside friends in his living room too, though those seem to have since vanished, perhaps at his friend's request. So where is Ale Torres now? Did he truly see the rated post and panic? Or did someone else catch him in the act and put a stop to his little hobby? After all, he has been known to make mistakes in a few of his uploads, with those he's spying on noticing his lens following them. At present, the channel is still up with all of the videos still public, like a digital diary of stolen moments. And for all we know, it could start up again tomorrow. But whether or not he continues uploading his twisted little souvenirs, one thing is certain. Guys like Ale Torres don't just stop watching. One of the best parts about being a YouTuber is being able to set your own schedule. That flexibility lets me focus on the things that actually matter, like researching, editing, or just diving into a weird internet rabbit hole for a video. And because I like to do things on my own time, I use the sponsor of today's video, Stamps.com. Stamps.com is essentially an online post office that takes the hassle out of sending certified mail, invoices, checks, documents, and packages, and lets me handle all of that whenever and wherever I want. You get access to the USPs and UP services you need 24/7, literally from wherever you do business. All you need are a computer and a printer. They even throw in a free digital scale to get you started, and their rate advisor shows you the cheapest and fastest shipping options instantly. And along with convenience, that has to be my favorite thing about Stamps, the huge discounts. We're talking up to 88% off USPs and UPs rates. Stamps.com connects with every major marketplace and shopping cart, so if you sell online, it's a no-brainer. So if you value your time and want more control over your workday, check out Stamps.com. Sign up at Stamps.com LazyMasquerade for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com LazyMasquerade. Divorce in a conservative society like Japan comes with more than just legal hurdles. It carries a heavy social stigma, especially for women. On top of that, many are expected to leave their jobs after marriage and become full-time housewives, leaving them financially reliant on their husbands. As such, an unhappy marriage in the land of the rising sun can sometimes feel like a form of indentured servitude. That could explain the popularity of Dinner Shine. In English, Husband Die, a website heavily inspired by the anime Death Note, which needs no introduction, and the more obscure but equally compelling Helga, a 2005 horror series in which people can have their tormentors dragged to hell through the services of a cursed website. As its name implies, Dinner Shine is a forum where anonymous housewives gather to wish death upon their husbands, Those who don't view till death us do part is avowed, but as an exit clause. Each post is a plea made by the writer to the god of death, asking for their partner's swift demise. Many users believe that by sharing their wish, they're actually manifesting it, willing it into existence. The site even features a monthly death count on the homepage, which tallies how many husbands have been successfully sent to the big sayonara. Reading through this twisted communal diary, you'll find thousands of personal stories from women who detail their grievances with their husbands. Their reasons range from serious offenses like abuse and infidelity to petty annoyances like snoring or leaving trash on the floor. To give you a taste, here are a few recent posts which I translated. The reason you're late home from work is because you're having an affair. All you can tell are lies. You're a bastard covered in debt. I get excited every time I hear the sound of an ambulance. But annoying Liwa make it home every night. Shinigami, please take him quickly. Die. Die. You bastard. Delete yourself. Oh wait, you can't get insurance. Then die instantly in a single vehicle accident. Die without causing anyone any trouble. Haven't you been alive too long? How many more years are you going to make me wait? You rat. Perish within a week at the latest. 38 years old and a salary of 200,000 yen. Even our kids in elementary school understand that their dad's no good. They'd be happier if you were dead. Our son says, I'd never kill anyone. But I wish someone would kill my dad. Surely it's not worth living that much. Lol. Come on. Get crushed by some heavy machinery at work today. Your disappearance will make your family happy. Your survival will only bring you trouble. I hope my husband, who has Asperger's syndrome, dies right now. You have ruined my life. Give me back my time. The only thing you can do to make amends, as you have neither the financial means nor a heart, is to expire and let me receive my survivor's pension. I married a poor, ugly guy who was inferior to me, but he got all cocky when I dressed him up in designer clothes, gave him stylish glasses, put him on a diet. And now that he's actually good enough to look at, he's gone out and gathered up some girls to hang out with her husband. Die. After hearing all of those, you'd be forgiven for thinking that Danashine was just a space for these women to vent their anger, an outlet for those processing pain or betrayal. Indeed, many of the posts do deal with heavy subject matters, making it easy to sympathize with the writer. But in other cases, the users are simply motivated by the fantasy of escaping a boring or loveless marriage, with their innocent husband's sudden death and subsequent insurance payout imagined as the only way out. No matter how you look at it, death is the only option. First of all, divorce is out of the question for us. Think about how much we both earn. It's physically and financially impossible to separate. You can't come up with child support, a mortgage, living expenses. So although it may be fine for my mental stability, separation is out of the question. But if you were to die well and make a lot of money, that goes to me. My life would be more stable and I could protect our home and family. That is the only option. If you truly want to protect your family, as you say, I think there's no other way than this. I don't think you'll be of any use in your mid-50 seconds, complaining about pains here and there. You'll only end up being a nuisance. Personally, I don't need you, and there's no reason for you to live in the future. If things go as I want them to, everything will be fine. I'll take care of both of your parents, so you can die in peace. Die well. Looking deeper into the site, you'll find a section entitled Effect Report, which is filled to the brim with updates made by previous posters, informing their fellow widow wannabes about their husband's health scares and near misses and thanking the Grim Reaper for slowly, but surely working his magic kick. But in amongst all of the reports of gout and high blood pressure, I found a few posts that really stand out. Thank you all for your support. I left my note at the end of the year. Thanks to you, I've become a widow. I received a lot of condolences. I'm sorry your husband was still so young, etc. I never say it out loud, but he got what he deserved. So I've come here to express my sincere gratitude. It's been a few months since I left my death note and I can't believe it, but my husband really died. The cause of death was heart failure caused by sleep apnea syndrome. He was called in the morning. I called an ambulance and they confirmed his death at the hospital. To be honest, I'm so happy. So happy, so happy. Thank you so much. Grim Reaper. I was overwhelmed with joy when my husband, who I had just spoken ill of in this death note, was in a traffic accident the next day. I've been lurking on this site for a long time, but I refrained from posting because I thought mine was a mild case. A while ago there was a show about Dinner Shine on TV and I watched it with my husband. Recently, Yahoo News featured an article about the administrator, Makita-san, and my husband said a lot of bad things about him. The next day, my husband went to work in his car and was hit by a truck and taken to a hospital. A terrible accident. They said he broke his left leg, broke his pelvis, and ruptured some internal organs. He's in a critical condition and hasn't regained consciousness. I'm writing this from the hospital toilet. It's a strange feeling. I thought it would be painful, but I'm happy. What is this happiness? As time passes, my happiness and expectations are overflowing more and more and more and more and... Oh, I hated my husband. He was just trying to act like a good person on the surface, but was filled with hatred himself. I thought by leaving my death note, my husband or caretaker, as he'd say, would somehow find out and become angry. I figured it's the same as something bad about the gods at a shrine. Of course I'd be punished, but I'm so happy. Let me say more and more. I'm so happy, so happy. So much fun. Just die. Stay like this, please. I can't show my smiling face in front of my parents-in-law, so I'll laugh a lot now. Here. I'm smiling in this bathroom like I've never done before. I'm a weird person. Sure. Other people will definitely think I'm weird if they see me, but I'm so happy. I can't stop smiling, laughing. Even I can't stop laughing as I write this. I can draw it enough. Thank you, Grim Reaper. My husband is in a serious condition and won't last long, so I will let you all know when he dies. Just thank you so much. On any other forum, well, almost any other forum, such posts would be met with outright hostility. But on Dinner Shine, 100% of the replies I've read have been supportive. Here's just a small taste of the responses to that last post I read. I'm jealous. My husband was also involved in a traffic accident and I hope we receive a death notice tomorrow. What great fortune. I wish it were my husband instead of my pet who died today. Even though it's Christmas Eve, he yelled at me in front of our child and left the house. And when he came back, he forced me to obey him. When my husband's around, I want to kill my child and then myself, just to hurt him. Oh, it's the same for me. When my husband's a jerk, I think about taking the kids and killing them. Seriously. I hope he dies soon. Last year, when I told mine I was going to the company's year-end party on the 29th, he complained a lot about how it was impossible at that time of year. But then today on the 30th, he took the trouble to go out drinking with his friends, driving 90 minutes on his motorcycle. I prayed that he'd get crushed in an accident, but he called me to say that he had arrived safely. It's just unfortunate, really. I wonder if a truck will crash into my husband's car. I don't care if it's completely mangled or flattened, though I'd rather he did die in agony. That damn Otaku gaming idiot. Perhaps the darkest area of the website is the secret revenge tab, where users who aren't content with just waiting for their prayers to come true share their tips and tricks for expediting their husband's demise. I'll continue to cook your meals every day that are a little higher in sugar and salt, so I hope you pass away as soon as possible. I'll be there for you until the end, when you can no longer speak. I'll hold your hand and whisper in your ear. I hated you so much, whether you're taken by accident or illness. Please make sure you listen to my voice in your final moments. My husband has dyslipidemia. Even though he's taking medicine, he likes greasy foods and his numbers are not going down. This was my light bulb moment. Now I frequently pour oil on top of my husband's side dishes. The other day when I made him tea engine rice, I poured some sesame oil on the rice, put an egg on top of it, poured oil on that, poured sauce on it. And no matter how you look at it, it was greasy and inedible. But he ate it, saying, "It's delicious, it's delicious." He thinks he has a sophisticated palate, the idiot. It's a very modest attack and will probably take a long time. But he said hepatitis and a fatty liver, so I hope he gets diabetes, liver cancer, or some other disease that insurance will cover. You bold mama's boy. I used to put dirty dishwater in your eye drops, but starting today, I'm changing it to dirty toilet water. Toilet water with two words in before they're flashed. I'm gonna step up my revenge and send you to hell. Okay, I think that's enough examples. Damn. So after all that, you may be wondering, what type of person sets up a website like the Nashine? And if you assumed it was another disgruntled housewife, you'd actually be wrong. The site's administrator is actually a man called Kohiro Makita. He's not shy about sharing his name or contact info either. And as one of those posts referenced, he's even appeared numerous times on Japanese TV to discuss his creation. On the site itself, he goes into detail about his reasons for making the Nashine, stating that growing up with toxic parents left him with nothing but bad memories and a damaged psyche, and that if someone's making you feel bad memories, there's nothing morally wrong with wishing them obliterated. But at the bottom of his explanation, Makita links to a resource for anyone looking to take matters into their own hands. I wrote about how to kill your husband. Do not misuse. The police won't find out. How to kill your husband quietly and discreetly. How to damage your husband. Tell the people who piss you off. Happiness awaits once you have done so. This article, created by Makita himself, outlines how to, quote, slowly and casually kill your husband using various legal chemicals that won't show up on a medical exam. For obvious reasons, I won't be displaying it here, though he since claimed that he regrets writing this article and now urges people not to actively follow through with their plans. Makita nonetheless still hosts these instructions on his website. As far as I can tell, he hasn't faced any legal repercussions for encouraging others to slay their partners and spreading awareness on how to covertly go about it. To date, there have been over 223,000 notes made on the Nashine, each one a twisted wish. The site is still extremely active and receives dozens, sometimes hundreds, of new submissions each day. And though it's easy to write most of them off as a dark fantasy or harmless venting, looking at that monthly tally on the homepage, you have to wonder how many of these users have stopped wishing and started planning. If you've been to Japan recently, there's a good chance you've seen this woman's face plastered on a TV screen in a store window or a passenger's smartphone on a crowded train. If you did, it's not because she's an idol or a rising star. It's because she's at the center of one of Japan's most polarizing incidents in years, one that made headlines as recently as March 2025, and one that's bound to leave a lasting scar on the internet as the whole thing was broadcast late 2000s. Arai Sata was a 22-year-old streamer with a sizable online following, known by her online moniker Imogami, a name which she had taken from a popular voiceover actress. Arai had built a dedicated community on Fu WAC, I Who Watch TV. Fans tuned in not to watch her play games or talk passionately about her hobby, but rather just to hear her and perform challenges. You see, Arai's main draw was her charm. She knew how to win people over, how to gain their loyalty. She had a Platinum Plus badge on her profile to prove it, which marked her out as one of the platform's top live streamers. Considering that she'd grown up in a children's home, estranged from her family, had been living alone since 15, and had only received a basic education, the young Arai had done well for herself. Offline, Arai had another job in Yamagata City. A lot of English sources say that this was at a restaurant, but in reality, she worked as a hostess in a KYA Baccarat, clubs where men pay exorbitant amounts of money to spend time drinking and chatting with glamorous female employees. In return, pretend that they're interested in them. It's not uncommon for these hostesses, and particularly younger ones who are strapped for cash, to engage in what's known as papagatsu, a term which broadly translates into sugar daddy hunting. Since the men who visit cabarets tend to be lonely salarymen starved for affection, it's often the case that they form one-sided relationships with their favorite hostesses and shower them with money and gifts in exchange for cold comfort and plastic companionship. The sad fact, though, is that they can't always afford the expense financially, but also feel like they can't afford not to, emotionally. But if Arai was such a successful live streamer, why did she have to work nights at a cabaret and partake in papagatsu? Well, although she was one of the more recognizable faces on Fu WACI, the platform itself wasn't mainstream, and it's estimated that she was only earning 300,000 to 400,000 yen per month, approximately $2,000 to $3,000 US. Recent reports state that she was a single mother at the time too, so it could be argued that she was just doing what she needed to in order to support her child. But some people online have found evidence that she was also a big poker enthusiast, so it's plausible that she was blowing through it all gambling. Given that live poker rooms are illegal in Japan, she'd have also needed to spend large sums of money to visit overseas casinos. There isn't a lot of information about this case in English, but I've read Japanese reports that Era was also a hosugurui, a host fanatic, that she would save lots of the money she earned working as a hostess only to the money. Ironically, spend it all at male host clubs on her nights off, sometimes burning through hundreds of thousands of yen per visit on bottles of champagne. Whatever the case, it's clear the donations she was earning from her streams weren't sufficient to fuel the lifestyle she wanted, and so she supplemented her income by befriending her clients like Kanichi Takono with her husband. Kanichi first met Era back in 2021 when she was 18 and he was 39. Considering that he had no real career and no family of his own, the self-professed Hikamiyaki had long struggled with his sense of self-worth, and as such, the attention that Era showed him at the hostess club was enough to make him smitten. Kanichi would regularly journey all the way from Oyama to meet his favorite hostess. Much like how Erai's most dedicated fans have built a parasocial relationship with her online, Kenichi had effectively done the same, only in the real world. Yet despite his genuinely strong feelings, Erai saw him as nothing more than a piggy bank, and she had him wrapped around her finger. During their text conversations, she'd drop hints such as, I can't afford my rent this month, my phone bill, my medical expenses. I've been vomiting blood recently. Could I borrow some money? They were all lies, of course, each more elaborate than the next. But Kanichi always gave in. When he started to question how she was spending the 100,000 yen he was sending her each month, she'd, of course, make excuses. And if he ever wavered about sending her more, she'd threaten to end her own existence. Over the course of 2 years, Kanichi lent Erai more than 5 million yen, or approximately $17,000. But Kanichi wasn't rich. Like many Japanese people, he was simply lonely, and so to keep bankrolling Erai, he took out loans from several lending companies. Era was well aware of the slippery slope Kanichi was going down to support her, and yet repeatedly pressured him to take out more and more loans, going so far as to help him research how to fake the paperwork, telling Kenichi how much she loved him. However, although Kenichi believed he was simply lending Era the funds, she had absolutely no intention of paying him back and considered the payments to be gifts. That's despite her promising to reimburse him in their text conversations. And when the day finally came that Kenichi messaged Erai saying that he needed the money back, she again made excuses. And when he became more persistent, she responded in the simplest way possible, by ghosting him. Realizing that he had been swindled and unable to get a response, Kenichi sued Erai for repayment. The young streamer didn't show up to their court date, and so, by default, the judge ruled in Kenichi's favor. In December 2023, Erai was ordered to pay back all of the money that Kenichi had lent her, along with 3% interest for every year that the amount went unpaid. But it quickly became obvious that nobody, not even the court, was going to force Erai to pay up. All the while, Kenichi, who was aware of Erai's live streams, watched as she went online and joked with her supporters about the lawsuit. Through watching the streams, Kenichi also learned that Erai had a wealthy fiancé whom she lived with in a high-rise apartment in downtown Tokyo. Meanwhile, he was drowning in debt with creditors literally knocking on his door. He reached out to friends for help, messaging one of them, "Why do I have to go through this? It's my fault for falling in love and being deceived." On March 7th, 2025, Kenichi sent Erai one final text message asking her to at least pay him back 10,000 yen, but his message went unread. He'd been blocked, and so, fueled by both embarrassment and rage, Kenichi decided to get his revenge. On March 11th, Kenichi tuned into one of Erai's live streams and saw that she was outside, walking the length of the Yamanote line alone as part of a scheduled event. He caught a train from Oyama and, keeping an eye on her movements, tracked her down to the quiet neighborhood of Tokoden no Baba. At just before 10 am, while Erai streamed live to about 6,500 people, Kenichi struck. Viewers watched as I looked off camera and became visibly concerned. The live feed continued as Kenichi stabbed her more than 30 times in the face, neck, and stomach with a survival knife. The camera fell to the ground and the screen went black for almost 60 seconds. Eri cried for help while being kicked and pierced, and then she fell silent. But what many thought was a setup was soon confirmed to be a chilling reality when Kenichi picked up her phone and stared at her viewers, his expression completely blank. As one of his friends would later put it, it was like the light in his eyes had gone out. He continued to aim the smartphone camera at his face as he coldly asked Eri, "Are you still alive?" The following shot of her bloody body confirmed that she wasn't. Officers arrived 5 minutes after the incident. At first, Kenichi seemed calm, like a good Samaritan standing over air, trying to help. But when they approached the 42-year-old, he calmly admitted to taking her life, citing their financial dispute as the motive, and later stating, "I thought that if I caused an incident, the world would know what Miss Sato had done to me." He's currently being evaluated to determine whether he's mentally fit to be held criminally responsible, as his lawyers are claiming he suffers from schizophrenia. As a side note, when news of this slaying broke, most assumed that it was the famous voice actress, Ayumi Kagami, who had been targeted, and her socials were flooded with condolences and drips. Both she and her agency were forced to assure her fans that she was indeed still alive. As previously mentioned, this incident has caused a massive stir on Japanese social media. From what I've seen, the majority of internet users sympathize with Kenichi. They argue that Eri manipulated and exploited a vulnerable man and that her actions were bound to have consequences. Kenichi didn't resort to violence immediately. He went through the courts, he asked for help, he reached out to her repeatedly, but the legal judgment in his favor was never enforced. And while Eri continued living comfortably and making light of the situation on her streams, Kenichi was drowning in debt and desperation. Those who side with him have expressed their anger both in the online world and offline, stomping on the memorial flowers that have been laid at the scene in Eri's memory. But understanding someone's pain shouldn't be the same thing as condoning their actions. Kenichi Takano was a 42-year-old man. He made conscious choices to pursue a relationship with someone half his age at a place infamous for plastic love, to lend her money he didn't have of, and to keep doing it even when the red flags were clear. Eri wasn't innocent in all of this, that much is clear, but civil society is built on the idea that even when we're wronged, there are limits to how we can respond. Murder is not justice. It's irreversible, brutal, and wrong. Eri Sato lied, used people, and took advantage of a broken system. She should have faced consequences, maybe even served jail time. But she didn't deserve to be butchered in the street with her final moments preserved online forever. The legal system failed to hold her accountable. But Kenichi failed in a far more catastrophic way. He let his rage take over, and in doing so, he deprived her child of a mother, destroyed Eri's life, and ruined his own in the process. One thing I've learned while making these videos is that flexibility is everything. Some days I'm working early, others I'm catching up late at night, and honestly, being able to handle things on my own time makes all the difference. That's why I love using today's sponsor, Stamps.com. The online post office that lets me get all of my mailing and shipping done without wasting time in traffic or standing in line. With Stamps.com, you can handle everything. Whether it's sending out certified mail invoices, checks, or packages, right from wherever you do business. All you need is a computer and a printer. They even send you a free digital scale to get you started. And that's because with Stamps, convenience is the name of the game. Through their mobile app, you can easily schedule package pickups, and if you sell online, Stamps seamlessly connects with every major marketplace and shopping cart. But my favorite thing about Stamps has to be the huge savings you can make from the per husband. Their rate advisor calculates the best shipping rates in seconds and helps you find deals you won't get anywhere else, like up to 88% off USPs and UPS rates. Put more flexibility back into your workday with Stamps. Not with Stamps. Call LazyMasquerade for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps. Call LazyMasquerade. Given the billions of videos uploaded to YouTube over the years, it's inevitable that some truly disturbing content has slipped through the cracks. Nightmares buried beneath algorithmic noise, seen by barely anyone. In fact, There's a whole subreddit dedicated to the idea where users share their darkest findings, or deep into YouTube. And while browsing through it, I came across this post by user Heart Was Here, who detailed how he'd stumbled upon a particularly disturbing upload that had less than 3,000 views. Found this Russian video, evidently from the 90 seconds, depicting two men stumbling upon snow-covered corpses in a truck bed while researching the abandoned settlement of YL10, Russia. Never heard anything about this before. Titled 40 to 42 and uploaded by a channel named Yelton way back in 2007. The clip had been lying dormant on the site, having gone almost unnoticed for 17 years. In all that time, only amassing 3,000. Oh, wait a minute. That's not right. The video has about 50,000 views now. For a moment I was confused. Heart's Reddit post hadn't received all that much attention, so how would the view count jump so much higher? Figuring that some other YouTuber had beaten me to the punch, I did a little searching and found that Toompa Bill had already covered this about 3 months ago. So maybe this video isn't quite hidden horror anymore, but it's still one of YouTube's eerie and most important time capsules. The video begins with a stark message in Russian. Tragedy. I, the Wilton. Editor Alex. What follows is silent, as it is chilling. A man steps into the bed of a truck, puts on gloves, and lifts what looks like a blanket, revealing the frozen bodies of 3, maybe 4 people. No narration, no music, just death, cold, and unanswered questions. At the end, another title card appears. This is how YL10 died. So what happened here? Well, the intro and outro slates clue us into where this clip was filmed. A quick Google search tells us that YL10 was a Soviet mining town in Russia's far northeast. Founded in 1937 by Gulag prisoners, it operated for decades before being officially dissolved in 1995 due to economic unviability. It's no coincidence, then, that the timestamp on the video clip is dated 1995. Terrifyingly, just 4 months before this footage was filmed, the government shut off all of YL10's utilities, their water, their gas, their heating. The town was completely cut off. All its inhabitants were subsequently told to relocate and were given little in the way of assistance or compensation. However, not everybody was able to escape YL10 before the extremely harsh winter months took hold. Without heating, those who couldn't leave froze. Indeed, reading through the comments under the original video, the channel owner himself states, "These are corpses that were found in the snow and in cold apartments in the village of YL10. Chukotka. The heating had been turned off since the fall, and there was no electricity either. And these are people who didn't have time to leave there. And the unfortunate reality is that these were probably only a handful of the people that the uploader found." Looking deeper into the channel, it becomes clear that the uploader was stationed in YL10 during its final days and was documenting the settlement's response to their abandonment. That documentation includes 3 more videos of a town meeting between residents who had returned after the long winter and a government official who had been sent to convince them to leave. In the footage, 2 women are heard saying, "We'll leave, but where will we live? We spent our whole lives here. Here I have a flat. There I'll be homeless." The official replies matter-of-factly, "But that's not my problem to solve. Can't you understand that?" Finally, one last video on the channel opens with the words, "And this is how YL10 burned." It shows how the village was incinerated following its liquidation, how the residents who didn't want to leave were forced. The video may not be buried anymore, but it still feels like a ghost, a fragment of a forgotten place captured in its final moments before vanishing from the map. And that's what makes this upload and the others on the channel so powerful, not just their imagery, but the fact they still exist at all. The channel now stands as a rare piece of documentation about an event most people have never heard of. This isn't just about a mining town in Russia. It's about how easy it is for people and their suffering to disappear when no one's watching. It's about the cold efficiency of systems that shrug at human lives. And it's about the strange, accidental role a site like YouTube can play in keeping those stories alive. Because not all of history can be found in textbooks. Some of it sitting in forgotten uploads, sitting in digital silence, waiting for someone to press play. The following is a post shared on our Confession, a place where anonymous Reddit users create threads detailing their darkest secrets. I've read through hundreds of these confessional posts over the years, but let me tell you, this one's a real doozy. and it's enough to make you question what's going on in the heads of anyone you come into contact with. I first heard about it over on the Void's channel. He covers similar content to me, and it's really worth checking out. And since so many of you keep asking, I know we sound similar, but no, we're not the same guy. I'll now read through the confession in full, though if you're eating, I recommend pausing the video and coming back once you've finished, because this isn't just gross. It's stomach churning, and crosses a line between the deeply disturbed and the dangerously unhinged. My obsession hurts others around me. It's also my fixation, but it goes far deeper than that. I'll try to explain the obsession the best I can by explaining how it started. Basically, when I was young, I caught pinworms. It was a strange feeling and the itch was painful. My parents took me to the doctor and I got medication to cure it. This event is what sparked my obsession. The thought that my body could be their whole world, their lifeline, almost like a planet of sorts. It was so interesting. After that, I began researching pinworms and other parasites, and I found out the human body already hosts parasites such as Demodex on the eyelashes, and I wanted to know how many a human body could endure without a chance of serious health issues. This curiosity has plagued my mind for years. I'm now 25, but I am very, very well versed in parasites, as I've been studying them for over 10 years. I also purposely infect myself with non-lethal parasites because it's part of this compulsion of mine. Some have worked better than others. Quite a few have given me serious diarrhea and fevers, while others have been much more bearable. I currently have pinworms and tapeworms, various non-pathogenic protozoa, and lice. I'm incredibly masochistic, so although it's uncomfortable, I do feel pleasure from it. All these parasites mean I need to eat a lot more than the average person and I still look thin. And to be quite honest, it means I can enjoy so much more food than most people. I also keep multiple cultures of bed bugs and leeches in containers and allow them to feed on my blood sometimes. Although those kinds are not really my passion, as they don't live permanently on the human body. But I think they're interesting nonetheless and I find them pretty cute. Now, it's time for the confession. My obsession and fixation isn't just about infecting myself anymore. I also have the desire to infect others, and I have acted on those desires. Sometimes my parasites just pioneer to new lands on their own. My family have caught pinworms multiple times without my intention, and other times I purposely spread them. I've infected strangers, friends, and even my own family. I know it's bad, but I just can't stop. I think I have parasites in my brain that make me feel like I need to spread them. I know how crazy that sounds, but if you knew the feeling, you'd understand. Maybe it's just a mental illness, or maybe its origin is parasitic in nature. I don't really know. All I know is that it feels good when I do these things. I feel an intense need to spread my children, and when I do, I feel pleasure. I must have spread thousands of my children over the years. I sometimes sprinkle tapeworm eggs into people's drinks when I'm out at clubs. I also caught pubic lice from a random woman I met at the same club, and in return, I'm pretty sure I gave her pinworms, so it was a trade. The woman wasn't even attractive. I just wanted to gift her some pinworms and instead, I basically won the jackpot. I then spread my lice to at least 4 other women. Sometimes I sprinkle worm eggs onto food in buffets whenever I visit them. Yes, I understand you think it's gross and messed up. I am basically betraying my species for my children. It's hard. I do enjoy people and I have wonderful friends and family. But I also love my parasites and my desire is just too hard to control. I don't want to hurt anyone when I do these things, but a force beyond my understanding is driving me to do it. I think I could possibly have a parasite in my brain that's yet to be discovered. I'm sorry to all of the people I've caused discomfort to, but it's for a cause beyond human understanding. Although this can all be justified, I still feel guilt. I don't want to hurt anyone. I hope the people I spread my gifts to can be a little more open-minded and not kill my children, but learn to live with them like I have instead. I'm aware of how immoral this seems to most people. I assume you may see me in a negative light after reading this, but remember, I only want what's best for my children, and if you were truly in my shoes, I'm sure you would do the same. As nightmarish as that confession is, what's perhaps more disturbing is how matter-of-factly it's told. This isn't a cartoon villain twisting a mustache. This is someone operating in everyday life, hiding in plain sight. Someone who knows what they're doing is wrong, but is both unable and unwilling to stop. The idea that someone could casually sprinkle parasite eggs into food at buffets or drinks at clubs is terrifying, not just because of the physical danger, but because of how invisible the threat is. You'd never know. To this day, the identity of the original poster remains unknown. Reddit users have speculated, debated, and tried to piece together clues, but couldn't pinpoint his location, and obviously, no one's ever come forward. Whether this was an authentic admission or an elaborate work of fiction, there are undoubtedly people who think like this out there. Communities of bug chasers who partake in so-called gift-giving. In a world where people wear metaphorical masks, this confession is a reminder that the darkest urges don't always stay locked inside. Sometimes, they leak out into the real world,